those that are in attendance for our Black Women in Droning. And I am so excited. I'm always excited when I get to talk to people doing the things that they love to do and doing it. Can I say damn on Zoom? I mean, well, whatever. Damn well. So we have with us some wonderful, awesome, amazing women in the droning community. And this webinar is to allow people to, see who is out there doing what they love in droning. We're going to have some questions at the end of this segment. So, if you have some questions that you're thinking of during the talk, hit it up in the chat so that we can also be able to ask your questions later on. This video or this webinar will be placed on the Black Female Landscape and Nature Photographer YouTube channel. And aside from that, I want to go ahead and get this started. And good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing?
Fantastic. Morning. Happy Saturday.
Yes.
I am live from a library.
Yeah. I was like, okay, she reads a lot of books. I
don't have many books in my home, but they're getting me. I'm presenting here right after this Zoom, so.
Great timing. And Allison, how are you? You're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. And Roxanne, you mentioned earlier that you're in Florida.
Yes, I am on vacation this weekend, but I'm very excited to join you ladies and to have some good conversation this morning.
Yes, thank you. And Dr. LaQuada, you have disappeared from us. There we go.
There you go.
And where are you at this morning?
I'm actually in New York this morning, doing a drone training this week. So I'm actually in New York this morning.
All right, so we have everyone all over the East Coast this morning. And so we're gonna go ahead, and I want not to hear from me, but to hear from each of our individuals to give a little bit about what they are doing in the drone world and kind of, how they got started. So Dr. LaQuada, we'll start with you.
Sure. Well, I really got into the industry by happenstance. I went back into the classroom. I'm an electrical and computer engineering instructor and program chair full time. And I came out of being a director of online at 2 HBCUs in South Georgia and decided to go back into the classroom. But going back into the classroom, I was tired of doing robots. And I was like, there has to be some new technology out there that I can teach my students about. And in the midst of doing research, it was AI and drones. And I kept doing my research on both. And I figured from drones and AI, drones would be much more easier for our students, but it would also give them some actual exposure into aviation as well. So looking at bringing it into the classroom at the technical college, it just didn't stop there. I started doing presentations at the different schools, started flying for different events, from weddings to funerals to community events. And so it just kept blooming. And so my main focus right now is drone educations and teaching STEAM through drones.
All right, wonderful. Miss Ashlee Cooper, you want to go ahead and tell us about you and what you're doing with the drone industry?
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. So same happenstance. I hear that story a lot. I was an entrepreneur. I had a party planning business, and I was standing up on a chair one day to take a picture of an art balloon design that I had created. It was like 10 by 20 feet.
Wow.
And someone was saying, you need a drone. And I waved them off, and they came back around and they were like, my company is offering a training. You should do it. And we don't have that many people who look like you. And kind of like the rest is history. Once I found out about not only the opportunities for myself, but the opportunities for others, particularly in my community, I just wanted to hit the ground running. My background is I'm a molecular microbiologist. I am a curriculum developer. I have instructed, so STEM education and instruction and outreach is not new, but instead of a microscope, I now use a drone.
Ooh, so you were standing on the chair trying to take a picture of a 10-foot by 20-foot balloon? How big was the chair?
Yes, with my cell phone. I don't even want to tell you what I put that chair on top of. So they were actually probably sort of trying to save my life in the midst of also trying to educate me, like you could do this in a much better way. And this was also during the COVID. So a lot of the things were outside that I was doing. So I always found myself in like, I was either backing up into somebody else's yard to take a picture of what I had did in someone else's yard. So, you know, drones in the beginning just made my business a lot more efficient and effective, being able to market what I could do.
Whew, well, I'm so glad that they got a hold of you standing on chairs and things. Allison, go ahead and tell us about you.
All right. Well, I'm Allison. I'm located here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I actually started out as a photographer first. So I bought my first DSLR 4 years ago, and actually wound up at Best Buy, which is my favorite store. And me and my best friend, we made a deal. He was going to buy the drone. I wasn't. I totally was going for moral support that day. And he told me, he was like, well, there's 2 left. There was the Spark. You guys all know the Spark, DJI Spark. And I told him, I said, well, if I apply for this Best Buy credit card and I get approved, I'll buy that drone. And I got approved. I bought the drone. But ever since then, like I've owned many drones, and I fell in love with just the aerial photography aspect. I've also moved over into the videography aspect of it as well. So, you know, with doing that, I've shot movies, I've shot concerts, I've shot funerals. So the sky's the limit with me. You know, real estate is one of my big focuses right now. I actually got up this morning and did some sunrise photos and hyperlapses and stuff, but big on stock photography, big on stock videography. I love the field because I didn't realize how many of us that look like us that are actually in this field until, you know, people like you start reaching out. But I'm loving it, and I'm here to tell you guys, anything a man can do, we can do 10 times as better.
Sorry, can you repeat that part one more time?
Anything a man can do, we can do 10 times better. I mean, Quater knows I got a lot of competition here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm here to tell you, I see some of the guys do stuff and I go out there and do the same thing. So anything they can do, we can do 10 times better.
I thought it was 50 times better, but I mean,
well, you know, I was just trying to be nice just in case we had a couple guys tuned in or whatever. I didn't want
we do, you know, I wasn't trying to just put it out there, but you know, they kind of need to know. But anyway, Roxanne, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I am the founder and CEO of Black Girl Drone World, and yeah, I definitely fell into this industry as well. Goodness, it seems like a long time ago, 2018. I ended up taking a class that was kind of trying to promote the drone industry, and no one in the room looked like me. No one in the room looked like me. And I ended up pairing up with someone who had a long aviation career, and he's like, well, you're good at teaching. I know that's your background in communications. Why don't you help, you know, support as a teaching assistant for my Part 107 class? So, you know, I'm helping, supporting, building materials, and I'm kind of looking and I'm like, wow, this is some really interesting stuff. And the room was filled with men. And I just thought,
Oh,
can't hear you.
that vacation Wi-Fi.
Roxanne, if you can hear us, we'll have to come back so you can finish that question.
She was getting to the good part.
I know. I think we
right. That was
fill it in.
I really believe that was the good part.
It was like, ooh, like I'm sure we all knew what she was getting ready to say. But you know, back to drones, you know, when we decided, Black female landscape and nature photographers decided, you know, especially right now, this is towards the end of Women's History Month. Oh, there we go.
Yes, I'm back.
You're back. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, to focus on girls ages 8 to 18 and take what they think is a toy and tell them how it can be an opportunity.
All right. Well, yeah, we were like, oh, she just got to the good part. She was getting ready to, and it was like it froze.
Blame it on the hotel Wi-Fi.
But as I had kind of chimed in a little bit when Roxanne froze, Black female landscape and nature photographers, as far as part of, we wanted to end Women's History Month with just, having, this forum. And as far as with the group, I myself also am a Part 107 and I fly drones. So of course, drones is another one of my passion and my joy. And we wanted to incorporate both, not just your DSLR people are on the ground, but also our awesome aerial photographers and those that are out teaching about in this field. So I want to touch a little bit with Dr. LaQuada, Roxanne and Ashlee. Can you chime in a little bit as far as specifically when you are out here doing what you're doing and the STEM programs and the STEAM, kind of touch on as far as each one of you, how it is when you're, teaching children and, dealing a lot in the, I think, when you're talking about construction or things of that nature. So kind of share a little bit about that. Dr. LaQuada, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I think when I first started, my main problem was doing summer camps and finding curriculum for our students. And looking at the different curriculums that were out there, it just seemed a little bit more, it was hard. Number one, it was hard for our students to understand. But then number two, it was a little bit more expensive. And my main focus is getting drones and uncrewed aerial systems into the hands of our rural area students who may not know that drones, there's a career in drones, may not even know that they can do drone racing. So my main mission was to get it into those students' hands. And so in doing so, it was hard for me to find curriculum. It was hard for me to find activities that match the K through 12. I bought a couple of books that were out there on Amazon, but I actually bought a curriculum from a company, and they started to use me as their project child at one time, but giving them some insight that didn't work out too well. So I started having to make up activities and curriculum myself to actually meet the needs of our students. And my main mission has been, or age group has been K through 12, starting at the 3rd grade, going to about 9th grade. I don't do much Part 107. I have done Part 107 training, but I don't do much Part 107 training. Most of my trainings or summer camps are focused on getting our children interested, cultivating their critical thinking skills, problem solving, letting them know that the industry is there, even engineering and electrical engineering, because I'm an electrical engineer. So I teach a lot of electronics and programming in our curriculum as well. And been working with Mr. Tony Reed and Grace from Drone Cadets, and been helping them develop their curriculum to actually move that curriculum into our more into our K through 12 for our students as well.
Okay. Ashlee, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So I don't even know if I mentioned, but I am the founder and chief educator at Droneversity. So
you didn't mention it, but thank you.
Okay. So we are, addressing the industry shortages meeting the industry shortages by addressing the inequity of opportunity. We've taught ages from 3 all the way up to 78 years old. We have classes that are dedicated to retirees, but I'm passionate, also because I come from a background of higher education. I am passionate about high schoolers and college students. So we actually focus, a lot of our students are 11th and 12th graders. So I have actually experienced like working in two different realms almost. So when I go to schools that already have robotics programs, they kind of welcome me with open arms. You know, a lot of the conversation is not on focus, on funding, I mean. But then on the other hand, I've gone to schools where they're limited on textbooks. So introducing drone programs, it can just come with a different complexity. And one of the things that I've made a mission is when I'm asking for funding, whether that's at a local, state, or government level, that I don't want this to be seen as charity by any means. You know, this getting this type of education and making it giving access to all students is not charity. And even I try not to even focus on words like diversity. When I say diversity, I'm talking about the different uses of drones, not necessarily different people, because I think it can kind of focus on one group of people. But saying all that to say that, you know, I make sure that I'm sharing as I'm kind of looking for sponsorship. I'm focusing on, hey, this is to have more innovators, to make a bigger impact, to grow the industry, for more public acceptance, for more public awareness that just benefits. And even when I'm working with public organizations, like, hey, if you're really trying to bridge that gap in a broken down relationship, you know, this is an opportunity to do that. But in no means is this almost like just giving a helping hand. This is going to benefit everybody. Even when I talk to manufacturers, I'm like, you want more customers? My Black women students have spent more on drones that they don't even know how to fly a drone. And they have a collection of drones. And they'll get a matching outfit for their drone as well. So not, you know, just being, it's business sense, it's world sense, it's all of those things. So that is something that I focus on when I'm met with any type of pushback or challenge, and anyone not wanting to, not necessarily not seeing this as a investment.
Okay,
A good investment.
thank you. Roxanne, can you also share about Black Girl Drone World, you know, as far as teaching and or all of what that is incorporating with our young people? Oh, dang it, if she didn't freeze. Okay, well, moving on in the world of technology. Oh, there you go. Roxanne, did you hear the question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And really for me, I really want to get the information into the hands of those who are underserved or may.
Uh-oh, we can't hear you. We didn't hear you, I know.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I really want to get the information into the hands of those who are least likely to get access to it, especially through their normal educational channels. So I do a lot of partnering with nonprofits that focus on girls of color, focus on technology, focus on STEAM and STEM, to be able to bring an 8-year-old, you know, what they think their grandmother gave them as just a toy for Christmas is something that can do more than taking pictures. I think that's one of the more surprising things that I get from the students, is that they don't know how many different avenues drones can go into. And when you start to introduce them to that, their eyes open up so wide at all the different uses that they didn't even think of or realize. And being able to be that spark to just say, okay, I was introduced to this when I was younger. And I also focus on entrepreneurship with them. So we're building their drone business plan. You know, they're figuring out how to market their drone business. And I actually have a young lady that really used her business plan and started a business, and she's 10. So to be able to be that spark, because it's all about being influenced or having access to it and exposure to it at a young age. And if I can do that and be the conduit for that, working through nonprofits, a lot of the parents, when they see the curriculum, want classes as well. I'm not focused on adults, but you know, I'm focused on anyone that wants to get into this space, because I believe the opportunity is so great and there's so much room, so much more room for all of us.
Love that. Now I'm gonna hit this question for each one of you. All of you have kind of shared that this was not something that you dreamed of becoming from a child and going up to an adult. It's not like this was like, when I grow up, I want to fly drones and teach drones and all of that. It's kind of like you were all kind of like that stumbled upon or pushed upon, or you were saved from falling on balloons, have you, or whatever. But let's chime in, and each one of you can share a little bit of, now that you are in this drone space, what would your today self say to your yesterday self?
I'll start.
Okay.
My today's self would tell my yesterday self is to stay focused, because the drone industry is so big. There's so many things that you can do in the industry, from photography, videography, agriculture, construction. It's just so much that you can do. It's hard to stay in your niche. And when you find your niche, stay in your niche and stay focused in that niche. And so my niche is STEAM through drones and drone education. So I have to stay focused on that mission and stay focused on that niche.
All right.
I'll say to my younger self, it's funny because GoPro had a drone many years ago before I ever heard of DJI. Before most DJI drones were even made, GoPro had a drone. It was huge, it was massive. And I actually wanted that drone. It's so funny. I didn't buy it though. So to my younger self, buy that drone. If you have the means to do it, buy it. Buy it if this is what you want to do. My younger self, I always took pictures. Everybody used to always use the camera, but I never thought that I would turn into a photographer. You know, this is something that's always been within me. I just never knew how to pull it out. So to my younger self, buy that drone, buy whatever it is that you think that you need to get to where you are now, and never stop learning. I wish that I would have known, you know, I turned 40 years old this year, and I just wish I would have known I had this talent back when I was 20, or even back when I was 18. I would have started my business way back then, and then who knows where I would be now. So my advice is take that chance. Don't let nothing stand in your way.
Yes, indeed. Roxanne, Ashlee?
Yeah, I think my today's self would tell my younger self, you know, just kind of get out of your own head, because I really procrastinated on getting my Part 107 because I just psyched myself out. It's FAA, you know, it's going to be so difficult. There's no way I'm going to be able to pass this. So many people fail this. And I just got to a point where you just have to just do it. Just do it. Anything that is on your mind, on your heart, just go ahead and give it your all, give it your best, and just go. And I went in there, and I still remember crying that day because I had psyched myself up so bad, got a 90, and I just thought, oh my goodness, I actually passed this the first time. And I did really well the first time. And that, I think that moment really accelerated my level of confidence in this particular space, because you don't see a lot of people that look like us. And now I just feel like, don't worry about what's happening to the left or the right of you. You just stay very focused on your path. I definitely agree with staying in your niche and in your lane. You know, focusing on girls of color is where my passion is, but I understand that there are a lot of other people that want drone education, and I'm going to just continue to build my network so that I can point them in the right direction to the right folks that can give them the information that they need, because the opportunities is so great. I would never want to deter anyone from coming into this space, because I believe that the growth potential is just exponential. But yeah, I mean, I would tell my younger self, like, come on, just do it. Just try. Just go ahead. It'll be fine. You know, get out of your head. Yes, I'm a certified drone pilot now. It was a big deal for me then. It's still a big deal for me now. And anybody who wants to do it can do it. Just pursue your passion.
And yes, Ashlee.
So to my younger self, I think the message would be, don't worry about what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Worry about what you can't imagine never doing for the rest of your life. I remember when I was going into college, I felt like I had to pick between being a singer and a scientist. I am a scientist and I still am a singer. I just wrote a song the other day to help my students remember latitude and longitude. And they were like, this is good. You got
Ooh,
bars.
do we get to
You
hear
know,
it?
I'm not today, but it goes a little something like, if you're tired of all this information, basically go on and lay down like a latitude line or take a stretch like a longitude line. And, I need the beat to really give the
Okay.
effect. But
I got it.
yeah, it was line after line, but I was thinking how I love that I'm able to use everything. I just didn't know the drone was going to bring it all together. I was excited when they put the A into STEAM, because I'm like, for somebody to dream up a bridge and then someone else to have to engineer it and build it, it started with a really creative mind. So I love how creative I get to be. And, I always like developing curriculum and teaching people and putting things in layman language. And, I get to use all of my background, everything that I've ever done. I was that kid who was always outdoors on my bike, like I didn't have a home, on an adventure, until the street lights came on and then I had to hurry up and get back home. But, the drone has allowed me to be back outside in a way that I haven't been for years. So yeah, to my younger self, I'm just like, whatever you can't imagine not doing, just keep doing that, because it's all going to come together, right? All of the gifts and talents that I have, I'm able to serve different people in different capacities. And that's when I'm able to be my best self. So right now I feel like I'm able to be my best self because I get to be all of me. I don't have to show anything when I show up as an instructor, whether that's teaching somebody the Part 107 or flight instruction. I like making jokes. I like making light of things. The Part 107, yes, safety is serious. But there's a way to go about it where everybody can grasp the information, and also see it as something, I enjoy being able to enjoy the drone within the parameters that we are allowed to do our flights.
Thank you. Next question. As we all have mentioned, getting and starting in the drone industry, we didn't see anyone that we could identify with, and that includes me. I started into the drones back in 2017, and attended like a DJI drone photography session that was here in San Diego, and I was the only woman. I was the only woman of color in a room of white males. So it was like, okay. And over the years, I've seen the growth of seeing more women and seeing even more of Black women. But I know I don't have today's stats, but I think it was last year, out of the drone industry, as far as with the certified remote pilots, 6% were women. And then I think it was that little itty bitty percentage were, of the 6% of women in the industry, a hair of those were Black women. How would you all say, what do we need to do to help other women get out of their heads, to keep them or to motivate them to get into this industry? Because, I know that I've heard where women are like, I'm scared, or, what if I, put it up in the air and it takes off and it's gone, and then that's $1,000 or what have you that is gone. What advice would you give to those women?
I'll take this one. Go fly, do it. Don't let anything stop you. The very first time I took my Air 2 out, I flew the Juneteenth parade. Now, the Juneteenth march, I always call it a parade, but I flew the march. And after I flew the march, I went back to my car and I wanted to take a picture of CNN, which is right there in that area. Okay. And no lie, I was flying over by State Farm Arena, which you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I lost connection. That was my very first time ever losing connection with a drone. And my heart dropped because I only had the drone 2 days. So, you know, when the connection came back and the drone came back, I was like, okay, good. And I flew it again. I lost connection again. I lost connection twice in 1 day. So I say that to say this. Get out there, shoot, don't worry about it. Because as long as you have a good drone, well, any drone, but DJI drones specifically have GPS in them. You always find your way. So if this is something that you want to get into, take the chance. Buy whatever drone that you feel comfortable with. Don't jump in and buy the most expensive one because you feel like you just want the latest and greatest. Start out with something comfortable. Yes, you're going to crash. Yes, you're going to fail. But what do we do when we fail? We learn from our mistakes and we improve it.
That part. Anyone else want to chime in?
I'll say a few words. I do think that it's important to share our faces. Last month, I made a concerted effort to really highlight different women of color in the space doing their thing. I mean, their career is their drone. And the response that I got back from that was amazing. A lot of people just don't know we're there. They just don't know they're there. And once you put your face out there and you show them, yes, I look like you, I did this, it's possible. More people were encouraged. I had many people that said they went and sat down and took their course and passed it. And were inspired by just hearing our stories. And that happenstance way that we got into it, that's okay. It's okay to just fall into a new career. If it's something that you love, you should absolutely pursue it. But I think that we need to share our stories, share our voices in the space, and really try our best to be seen. So I really appreciate this event, as an opportunity to do exactly that. And I think it really is a community that we have. And there's a lot of space for all of us to really continue to support and promote each other, because it's for the good of our entire community.
Yes.
And I totally agree with ALISON and Ms. ROXANE. And I also say we have to start with them young. And so allowing students to see people that look like them in the industry. So that's another reason why I do what I do, is so that children can see someone that look like them. So those girls actually get to see someone that looks like them in the industry, and they don't just believe that, oh, I can't do it because it's just males or it's just boys. Even with engineering, and I know Ashlee with the same thing with chemistry, there aren't many females in those industries. So allowing those girls to see people that look like them actually encourages them to get into the industry and continue to cultivate it. I love the way Ashlee cultivates her daughter with STEM and STEAM. It's just amazing to me to watch it. And I believe that that's what it takes for our women to get into the industry as well.
It's interesting that you mentioned my daughter, my 4-year-old. She is a walking billboard for me. She goes around asking random people in the grocery store, you got a drone?
I would buy a drone.
My mom
I would just buy a drone.
Right, I would buy from her too and get fashion advice.
Have all my money. She would just take all my money.
Oh, thank you, ladies. But just even I never thought about teaching coding, particularly to my own child, but this was a way to teach her in a fun way. And even we've been in arenas where I've allowed my daughter to fly, and everybody's looking around like, who's flying that? And I'm like, a proud mama moment. That's my baby.
Yes.
That's my baby. And I trusted her to fly around all you all. But for us, I know at Droneversity, the R in drone stands for representation. So representation is so important. We've taught over 37 women to date, not including our current class, Black women who have gone on to get their Part 107. Some of them we attracted just by selfies. It's like, yo, you could take some selfies out of this world, but even watching how they have gone to apply this at their place of work, and they're now going out to also educate, has been really, really beautiful, because we're out there, but we are a small percentage. So these earphones today. um we are a small percentage, but representation matters. Seeing an instructor, me seeing an instructor and seeing you ladies. Angela gets all my calls when I get discouraged, you guys. Like, I start feeling a little doubtful. I'm like, oh my gosh, I walk out of a meeting where I was the only one, or I walk out of a conference, and because it can be distracting, right? Because, how you're being perceived, how you're perceiving how people are perceiving you, and just all of that can be a distraction, and not wanting to let not yourself down, but the other people who are relying on you, that may not even know they're relying on you yet, to make a pathway or to make a pipeline. But I love conversations like this. I love that I have you all as my drone sisters. You guys are I just wanted to take the time to say, you guys are so encouraging to me, and the camaraderie and how I was welcomed by each one of you ladies from the start, and you all didn't even know me. You just knew I happened to have a drone. That means so much to me. And I hope to be that for so many other people.
You may get me teary-eyed, girl. Allison, I want to touch bases with you being out here with photography and real estate and cityscapes. Like we said, it's being seen, and us flying drones and being out doing the photography that we do. We already get that look like, huh? And then when you pop up a drone, it's even another double take. How do you deal with the distractions? Because I know for me, as soon as I put the drone up, it's an immediate magnet for men to come up. Oh, you flying a drone? How do you deal with the distractions?
Well, it's funny that so normally when I drone, like this morning, for instance, the big things is visual line of sight, as we all know. So I'll sit in my car. Like, I will take the drone. Sometimes I'll launch it off the roof of my car, and I'll just get back in it. And, you just watch the satellites, you watch, where you're at, your visual line of sight and everything. And I very rarely get bothered. Yeah, I just sit in my car, and sometimes I will go out with the guys and fly. But like times like this morning, even yesterday when I flew, I just go to the location, and if I feel like sitting outside the car, I will. If not, I just sit in my car and nobody bothers me.
Okay. Next question for you, as far as with the photography, what is the main thing that you look forward to in a good composition? Or let me change that to a great composition.
Whew, that's a good question. I normally do before I fly a location is I just get a good gist of what I want. Like this morning, I wanted part of Atlanta with the sunrise. So I flew down the interstate and I just panned it so you could see how the sun rises, through the hyperlapse. And then when I went down to another location, it just depends on what I'm looking for that day. Atlanta, as we all know, is pretty saturated with photos. So I just try to get creative. If there's a specific location that I go to that has a different color light, like say for instance, this shot right here, I was parked right outside the building. I just took it straight up and then just got the sun. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day on what I want to grab.
Okay.
So.
And then to all of our panelists, and I know, we have where you're either teaching or like Allison, you're out capturing images, but for the ones that are not primarily photographers in the aspect of things, when you're out traveling and doing things, do you at least toss that drone up and get some images? I mean, I know Roxanne is in Florida. Is that drone with you? Are you capturing some images?
It is with me, but it's not in the room with me. But yes, we plan to go to the beach. It's always a plan to go to the beach. I love doing photography by the water.
it's just so peaceful. It's one of my favorite places to be. So yeah, listen, the drone is the way to see a vacation in a way that you've never seen it before. I mean, when I first started, this is my second company. My first company was focused only on aerial photography. And I remember myself looking at videos of myself in 2018, talking about that the drone life is the life. Like, you will never see the world the way you can see it through the lens of a drone. So yeah, I mean, it's always with you. And I too have a daughter. She's been flying drones since she was 4. She is now 7, and yeah, she's ready. She's got her drone with her at all times, and she wants to throw it up in the air, and she just loves it. And she thinks it's just the most fun thing that she could ever do. And we look at the pictures, we look at the videos, and it's just a different way to interact with the world, really. So I love it. My editing skills, though, still something that I need to work on. So if you ladies can help me with editing some of these videos, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Ashlee or Dr. LaQuata, do you guys toss up those drones for some, off the business type, just images?
Every now and then. My problem is I need to take my DJI Mini out of my box because traveling with the Zoom is just, to me is difficult. I'm a very organized person, so if I have to take so many things out of my bag to go through the airport, I'm like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. So yeah, that's usually my problem. If I'm not driving, most of the time my drone is at the house, unless I'm coming to do a training of some sort. I have my telos, and then I have my circuit scribe drones.
Okay. Ashlee.
I was about to say, I keep my drone and my sunglasses are always in my purse. I keep one in my glove compartment. My friends say I treat it like a gun, but I don't go anywhere without one. I have some big boys, so I have all the way up until the Inspire, but I toss those things up.
Did you just pull the drone out your purse?
Yes.
Did you just do that? Okay.
They can fit in any purse. They can fit in any purse. I'll make it work. It fits in a fanny pack too, but today this is the carrier for it. But honestly, it's like a way of life for me at this point. So it's like sometimes I go to my drone before I even go, connecting my phone, but I like the capture, how it captures an aspect of what that day entailed, as opposed to my phone. When they can turn a phone into a drone, I'm getting it. I don't care the cost. Oh, I shouldn't say that. But yes, it's a way of life. And I think also, I've inspected cell towers, I've done real estate, I help other people to accomplish jobs, which also has allowed me to really be able to give like that practical aspect. So even if I'm not the one getting contracts, I ask people, hey, can I be, your VO? Can you take me along? Can I set stuff up for you? And so can I do some of the repairs or be there? So I know how to tell my students, because a lot of times I get questions that has nothing to do with the Part 107 while I'm teaching a Part 107. And they're like, well, what do I do in this case? Or my drone did this yesterday. So it allows me to be able to answer those questions or say how it all makes sense. Someone said the other day, my drone wasn't working. I said, well, was it too high? Oh yeah, I had it up there. Okay, well, we've been talking about high density altitude this whole time. It doesn't perform as efficiently and effective depending on the weather and depending on the altitude. So, but that has more so come from being out in the field.
So for our attendees, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it into the chat, or you can put in the Q&A, and we will start in a moment addressing the questions that people have. And while we're getting those questions submitted, We will also, before this is ending, we will also, the panelists will share as far as their contact information. All of that will also be included in the description. This video will be available on the Black Female Landscape and Nature Photographers YouTube channel. You know, we are out there. We like to push for us to be seen so that we can inspire and we can motivate other women to do these things and get, of course, out of their head. All right, so we have a question. And it says, is it difficult to get through TSA with a drone?
So I'll take, I mean,
Allison?
yeah,
I mean,
so I'll take it, I guess. No, it's not. So you have to basically, it has to be on your carry-on. It can't be in your check bag. But no, it's not hard to get through TSA. I flew to San Francisco and New York last year and had no problem. So no, it's not hard to travel. Just make sure that your batteries are discharged and that you have them in your carry-on.
All right.
You don't even have to take it out. Like you have to take your laptop out. You don't have to take your drones out. So I travel normally with 2 drones in my carry-on. And I've been on all sectors of the United States and out of the country. I will just say it depends on the country that you are going into. If they have rules and regulations, then you do want to be aware of that. Some don't have rules and regulations like we have the Part 107, so you don't have to worry about that. But definitely do a Google search before you take your drone out of the country. But flying in the States, just make sure it's in your carry-on, like Allison said.
You can also check FAA Drone Zone, I believe, travel advisory stuff.
All right. Another question. Any tips on how to fly with the drone?
You're going to have to practice. And I had to say it in that voice.
Practice.
Know the rules of the sky.
Yeah, and practice.
Practice. I take mine to a park.
Yeah, hand-eye coordination.
No, I think they're asking tips on how to fly with it, like how to fly, get through TSA and then how to fly. I guess, I don't know, maybe they should give us more.
I don't know, person, that anonymous person, if you want to elaborate more on that question. I'm gonna go to the next one. And this one is by our friend Tony Reed. What areas, what areas in the drone industry do you feel like you want to conquer next?
Well, I've been following him and he was on the tower inspection. So I was trying to do that one at one point and I was like, no tower inspections for me. And so our other brother is working on drone delivery. So I think that's one of the things that I want to focus on next is drone delivery, getting into that industry, in fact, finding out more about it and how I can teach our children to get into it as well.
I was bit by the FPV bug lately.
Ooh.
And so was my bank account.
Mine too.
Oh man, I was trying to resist, but with things like drone soccer and even drone racing and sometimes the scholarship opportunities.
No, did Allison just do that to us? Why?
I know. So I actually got a beta drone, but I had the DJI FPV goggles as well as the controller. So I like cinematography. I always have, but what can be captured with, so because we can talk in all of these terms that people not know necessarily, but FPV means first person view. It means that you're using goggles. I am an FAA safety rep. You have to have a VO, a visual observer with you if you are flying with goggles on, because you have to keep the drone within direct visual line of sight. But I want to do something with that. I just am not sure. But kudos to, even what LaQuada said, what Tony is doing with LiDAR and putting sensors on and doing inspections and really being out in the field. And photography, I always say it doesn't matter. You can save a life with a drone. You can tell a story with the drone. You can find out what's wrong with the drone. And, the list kind of just goes on. But for me right now, I want to zip. I want to do that 90-mile-per-hour flight.
Allison, I don't like you anymore. Not you holding it up. See, you know what? She pulling out her FPV.
It's a beauty.
Ashlee pulling the drone out of purse. Oh my goodness gracious. I have another person here who says no questions, but she says, I'm so, in all caps, excited and encouraged to see other Black women in the industry. Keep up the awesome work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I tell you. From the chat, we have Nodded Bruh who says, greetings, just here to listen and shout out to Allison from the GDP.
Georgia Drone Pilots.
Mhm.
Hey.
Tony had said, big shout out to all my sisters making a big difference in the community and the world.
That's the
Thanks,
brother.
Tony. You too.
Thanks, Tony.
So we have oh, wait a minute, I have another question that just popped up. Okay, so we have Dwight, thank you. He says, my background is in IT. I purchased my first drone just to take photos for my wife's food and travel blog. Since I have fell in love with drones and have had my Part 107 for 2 years, I have 2 questions. Question number 1. I live in DC, so it takes real effort to go practice flying. Do you know of any virtual type applications where I can practice flying virtually to better my skills from home? And question 2 of that, suggestions of courses, classes, hands-on drone training to become a better pilot.
So there's one thing you can do is there's flight simulators out there. So if you have a DJI drone, if I'm not mistaken, DJI actually has a flight simulator software. Also, with flying FPV, I'm actually doing simulator training with FPV because I don't want to get out there and just crash the drone. So there's Liftoff, and then there's DRL Drone Racing League. You can also download those off of Steam. They work on PC and on Mac. And also, if you do go into the FPV field, I've been using my FPV controller on my PC, on my Mac, to do my simulator for my FPV. So another thing you can do is if there's any big open parking lot, like if you have a Target nearby or a grocery store, they close at some point, go out there and fly. Just find you a big open field and just get out there and fly.
So yes to simulators, also yes to going on social platforms and finding groups, Googling groups of titles that you like. Even what Angela offers as Black female landscape photographers, but there's Black drone pilots. For women, Sharon Rossmark started an organization called Women in Drones. There's a lot of resources there, particularly with you being in DC area. I know Dark Drones, they actually have meetups in the area. You can Google or you can shoot me an email. I know someone who helps out with their meetups. And even, you know, then this goes for everybody. I just heard about GDP or Georgia Drone. Can't remember what the P stand. Oh, Georgia Drone Pilots.
Yeah,
but
Georgia
there's
Drone
a
Pilots.
lot of groups out here, and I know through Facebook, I even just Googled, I'm in the greater Philadelphia area, but I'm members of Philadelphia, and even also reaching out to your local drone pro. They may know of meetups in your area as well, or just different ways to get plugged in, because that's also how you get to see and possibly fly other drones before you get to purchase them, because other people are bringing their toys. And I know Droneversity is looking to have more meetups and collab with other organizations to have meetups throughout the state.
All right. Well, for all of those who submitted questions that we didn't get to, I'm sorry, but in the essence of time, we're just not going to be able to. We're going to take this moment right now to allow each one of our panelists to provide their contact information. If you do have some questions that you want to send them individually, this will allow you to do so. Again, we will also have their contact information available in the comments section of our YouTube video that will be placed on the Black Female Landscape and Nature Photographers YouTube channel. I'm going to go ahead and let Dr. LaQuada provide her contact information.
I can be found on www.steamthroughdrones, that's STEAM, through is spelled THRU drones.com, and that will give you all of my contact information, as well as what we're doing in the industry for teaching STEAM through drones.
Ashlee?
Okay, so I just put our website in the chat. So Droneversity, and that's drone, VERSITY.org. It will also kind of maybe take you to, we're working out the website right now, but we're on social media platforms at Droneversity. And I also own another company called Drone Navigations, which we provide curriculum and content for the industry in engaging ways.
ALISON?
All right, I can be found on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Atlanta Drone Girl, also AtlantaDroneGirl.com.
And ROXANE?
All right, you can find us on our website. It's Black Girl Drone World, so www.blackgirldroneworld.com. There you can find all the information related to our beginners course, drones taking flight. That course is open to anyone, so we definitely want to share the information as much as possible. But our in-person courses, we focus on girls of color, and I generally teach those courses. We're also setting it up to teach, do a train the trainer setup, because we can't be everywhere, and we have a lot of people who are interested in getting this content out. But we are on Instagram, Facebook, we have a YouTube channel, we're on Twitter, so definitely, you know, shout us out. It's Black Girl Drone World. You'll find us.
Well, thank you all so very much for taking the time on your late Saturday morning or early Saturday morning. Also when you're on vacation and before the other things that you have to do today. For those of you who are not, if you have not yet subscribed to the Black Female Landscape and Nature Photography YouTube channel, please do so. Like, subscribe, share this video. Share it, and share it so that we can be seen. We are out here, we're flying drones, FPVs, pulling drones out our purse. You name it, we are out here doing it in this industry. And the only way for us to be seen and to educate and for people to know of our existence is by sharing videos of this and reaching out to our panelists and, you know, sharing their platforms, their sites, their social media. So with all that being said, again, ladies, I am so proud of everything that you all are doing and overcoming. You know, you guys motivate me and keep me focused as well. And what I do, because it's so good not being out here alone, and we are doing it. Like ALISON mentioned earlier, what men can do, we can do 100 times better. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and you have a great rest of your morning.
Thank you.